Hey guys, sorry about that. Something went wrong. I ended up getting, let me see if I can get you guys back. Let me see here. Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry guys. My 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 battery died. I guess everybody got knocked off. Sorry. I think I didn't realize that my laptop was not plugged in and I was running off the battery and the juice died. So we'll just pretend that didn't happen. Continue from where we left off. The dog did not chew the cable. The dog is snoring away right here. I think I should pet the pooch. Hold on, guys. Hold on. These are the wonderful surprises that you get when you're live, right? All right, guys. So what was I saying? I said something and I lost my train of thought now, guys. Sorry about that. What were we talking about? Pickups. If you guys remember what I was saying, just remind me. No, it's not your internet, guys. So, remind me what I was saying, guys. Sorry, I just got distracted there. I get distracted by shiny things. Oh yeah, that's right. So I was answering Fat Philosopher's question. So I don't know if that makes sense, Fat Philosopher, but those are a couple of things that you can actually try on your neck. So... if you don't want to read chat, just say so. Reverse headstock means you can do bends on the E string. Yeah, I know. But it doesn't really... Let me see if I can do this one. I think that's where he does, right? If he does something like that. Anytime, Fat Philosopher. Hope that helps. Vox says, my train of thought never leaves the station. Yeah, I get distracted by shiny things. Sorry, guys. I'm glad most of you came back. Now we can see who the real die-hard fans are, the guys that come back. Hey, Decal, are you related to Steve Vai? Or are you just using that name? You got the new X30 on pre-order. I actually contacted the guys from New X and asked them what the holdup is. They're actually stuck. They don't have any chips. They're out of the electronic components that they need to build the units, so they're, I guess, having trouble furnishing. They're actually looking for suppliers of these microchips right now. So if you have it on pre-order, I hope you get it. I hope there won't be any delays, but that is an issue. That is an issue that they're having right now. Bruce says, I use a clamp setup. The process takes several days. You leave the neck heat on, warm, not hot, and gradually increase the pressure with the clamp. That is another way of doing it if you can. That method, some people use heat lamps. If you have, you can actually put some heat lamps on over the neck, and then, you know, every day or so, just clamp the clamp a little bit tighter, so you gradually get a little bit more bend in the neck. It's a tricky thing, but it's not that difficult to do. The thing you have to try to avoid is actually warping the neck when you're doing that. That is the tricky thing. So if you don't have your neck perfectly straight on a nice level surface, there is a risk of warping the neck, and you really don't want to do that. Hey Randy, nice to see you back. William says he's considering buying one of those guitars. I just don't think my wife would accept me buying another guitar. I'm out of room to put them. Maybe you can leave it at your neighbor's. You can just say it's your neighbor's. And, you know, every once in a while you go over and get it. And if the wife wonders where it comes from, just say, you know, our neighbor Joe lent it to me. I have to give it back to him, you know. And then when you sell a guitar and there's a room, you can just bring it back in. Just say you bought it off of him. Rent a storage unit. See, this guitar still goes out of tune a little bit. It took, I'm going to say, about a week. So are you guys, any of you guys actively playing anywhere right now? Or have you started playing anywhere? Again, I'm still waiting for the guys to organize the next jam. Hopefully, maybe by next week we can get back to playing. I know the chops are definitely rusty. I'm trying to figure out what gauge strings these are just by feel. They feel like they could be 10s or 9s, but they're definitely not my brand strings, I can tell you that. I can feel the difference. Rico says, unfortunately, had to send back the Evh Frankie to Sweetwater. The string alignment was way off. Oh man. High E was on the edge of the neck. Replacement is on back order. Ah, too bad, man. That's a nice guitar though. What do they set you back right now? What are they selling for in the States? The last time I checked, they were over 2 Gs, I think. That's for the Mexican Relic version. I don't know if that's the one you purchased, Rico. Jack says he usually hides his in a gig bag until I'm ready to let her see it. Yeah, just bring it in under the radar. Mix it in with your other guitars. After a while, they don't remember if it's a new guitar or an old guitar. I gotta talk low just in case my wife is watching. Bruce says I bought a 96 50th anniversary American Telecaster a few years ago with a bent neck for $500. Did the heat process, neck came out perfect and hasn't budged a drop in 2 years. So you see, it definitely is worthwhile trying. As I always say, there's very few issues with guitars that can't be repaired. It's just a question of whether or not you have the courage to do it. And the clamp setup is not that complex. You can actually make a pretty easy clamp process if you clamp setup. Fat Philosopher says, so much for the 55-point inspection. Yeah, there's a few things that are kind of hard to inspect. Things like that, typically, because unless they're adjusting the truss rod because they're putting on strings of your preference gauge on the guitar, they won't typically see it. You know, they're going to put in standard size gauge strings on there. And if it's set up properly, then, you know, they won't necessarily see the issue with the truss rod, unfortunately. But you would hope that they would at least test to see that the truss rod is working. Jeff says he's got a gig coming up at the end of the month. Awesome. Awesome. Have you guys been continuously practicing during this period? Getting ready for your gigs? Because I know I kind of haven't. I've been using my time to do other things. But I spent quite a few hours last week just going over the material, just refreshing my brain on them. Thankfully, I hadn't really forgotten that much. So I'm able to at least wing it. So Rico says he ordered his Frankie for $1,699 back in October. I think they're $1,899 now for the Relic. I think they're actually more than that. I remember seeing them. Well, $1,899. That's US. I think you're quoting there, right? Because I think Canadian is like $2,200 or something. Still a little pretty expensive for a fancy paint job. But I mean, if you're looking at getting that type of guitar, it's you know, it's a great guitar to have. I'm not knocking it. I'd love to have one of those too. Keith says, don't say anything bad about Sweetwater. New guitar should be here tomorrow. Keep your fingers crossed, Keith. Let us know how that guitar turns out once it arrives. Almost all guitar repair is relatively easy, but requires tools, training, and practice. Yeah, exactly, Seth. If you know, like most of the setup, you know, it's a tweak here, a tweak there, but you do have to know the process. You have to understand what should be done first, because there is sort of a numbered process. You don't want to do certain things before you do others, or you're just chasing your tail. These are the things that experienced guitar techs would be able to take care of very, very easily. The most expensive thing on a guitar, I think, would be either a neck repair if it's warped. Typically, fret jobs are pretty expensive because there's a lot of time involved. But warped necks are tricky because then you have to do a fret job. If it's warped, you got to remove all the frets. Then you have to re-level the neck, then put on the frets again. For most guitars, it wouldn't be worthwhile. You know, it would be easier just to buy a new neck, unless it's a very, very special guitar that has maybe some sentimental value or something like that. The Cal, so you're from Montreal South Shore, and he's a gear freak. Nice. So you're in the same area as me, more or less, same place. So good to see somebody local here. Rico says, plus they knocked off 10% after I sent it back to get plecked and fixed the sprout. They never fixed the sprout. That's not good service. If you're gonna have issues like that, I mean, unfortunately, you're probably better off sending the neck to Seth and asking him to pleck it for you. Bruce says that he... oh, wait a minute. I think I missed something here. William says, I emailed you back regarding the neck. I'll send it out in a couple pictures later today. That message, I think, is not for me. Also bought a bent American Strat neck for $100. Did the same thing, and it's perfect. Use it for my Nashville Bigsby Telecaster. So are you buying these necks on purpose and because they're listed as being crooked, or are you you know, are you just getting bad luck and getting some necks that you think are good and end up being crooked? Good morning, Darwin. Nice to see you, buddy. Fast Philosopher says it could be worse. You could have sent it to Gibson, to the Gibson repair shop. Come on, guys. No, Gibson's doing the best they can. I bought a Specular Tempest from GIF. A delay reverb gives you a good Marillion mood. Have you heard of it? Specular Tempest. That rings a bell. I haven't had one, but that tells me something. The Specular Tempest. I've tried a couple of combo pedals that give you reverb and delay in the same pedal, and truthfully I haven't been impressed, because I always feel that one or the other is going to be lacking. You know, when you try and make something, it's kind of hard to get exactly what you're after, and if that happens, then you're stuck with a pedal that does two things kind of average instead of one thing really well. But if you're saying that you're happy with it, I'll maybe take a look at it and I'll see what it can do. Yeah, so the Stripe Series Relic is 18999 Sweetwater, so that's US. Paul, don't worry about it. My laptop closed down on me too. So this is part 2 of the stream. I don't know if it's going to be one stream now on YouTube or if we're going to end up getting 2 separate streams. I don't know how it's going to work. Oh, I'm lowering it. Marcus wants to know, what are your thoughts on the Harley Benton guitars and G&L guitars? I like the G&L guitars very much. I had a USA G&L guitar that I purchased way back. Must have been, it was in the 90s, I think. Probably more than that. Wait, over 30 years ago, probably. And it was a great guitar. It was a great guitar from G&L, hand built. This is when they were still building the guitars, putting them together by hand. That had the marks where the guitar was being held in place while they were routing it. It was a beautiful orange sunburst model where you can see the grain with a maple neck, and it was fantastic. I still remember I paid that guitar back then about, I think it was $1,499 new. Came with a molded case as well. Was a great guitar, man. I should have kept that guitar. That was one of those guitars that I regret selling. Since then, I've tried a couple of others that were not USA made. They were the Indonesian models. Still good guitars. I have no issue with them. I think the G&L stuff is good. And as far as Harley Benton goes, I don't have any issues with Harley Benton. There are people that have had issues with quality control on some of their models. I think some models are better than others. Again, if you're going with the Harley Benton, you're probably looking at lower cost guitars, which generally don't always have the same quality control. So you might have additional issues there. With the Harley Benton stuff, you have to also consider duties, shipping, you know, the VAT taxes and stuff that they put on there as well. But they do have some really nice models, and they can definitely scratch an itch if you're considering maybe getting a Les Paul style guitar or something like that. You can get something that you would be perfectly happy with for a lot less money. So depending on what you're looking for, what features and stuff, I think those are both good options. I don't think you'd be disappointed with either one. Unless you get a dud, of course, there's always the chance that you might get a lemon. The prices are going up. Yeah, I think when they did originally come up, they were less expensive. Does that parts place in my area of Vaughan called Solo that you deal with also do guitar work? I think they were offering guitar work before. I don't know if they're still doing it. You have to ask. They might. I think at one point Dave from Dave's World of Fun Stuff, who's also a Canadian YouTuber that I like to watch, who does a lot of gear repairs on his channel. I think at one point he was actually dealing with them. I think he was actually doing some repairs for them. I don't know if that's still the case though. You would have to call them or email them to find out, but they might. They might. I don't know if they do it directly there or if they outsource it though. Rico says, I played one at NAMM last year and I think that was the price. Yeah, maybe when they initially launched those guitars, they were less expensive. That's usually what ends up happening. I also bought a used, on used market a Seymour Duncan Vapor Trail delay made in USA for 120 Canadian. Not a bad price. I don't know too much about the Duncan effects units. I know at one point they were trying to kind of get into that. Marcus wants to know if Tokai guitars are good. They're not good, Marcus. They're actually very good. I have a few of those guitars and I love them. Just remember, go for the Japanese ones. I always put a caveat. So the Tokai guitars are excellent, the Japanese ones. I know they have the other ones as well, the ones that are made in Korea. Those typically are probably equivalent to what you would be getting with an Epiphone, whereas the Japanese ones are really, really good quality. Like you can put them up against a Gibson Les Paul, and you know, in my particular case, I tend to favor the Tokais over the Gibsons. The only thing with the Tokais right now is that the cat is out of the bag. People know that they're great. You used to be able to get some deals. Now you can't really get deals that much. The prices have gone up quite a bit over the last 10 years or so. Richard says, I found that Big Lou guitar brand has guitars with wide nuts, some over 2 inches. Can't you specify? Can't you specify the nut width? I'm just wondering if you can work it out with him. Let's see. I'm just curious to see what's going on my channel. If I'm actually still on the same feed or not here. What's going on? What the hell is happening here on YouTube? Is great, but sometimes there's definitely issues that happen when you get knocked off. I'm looking at my feed here and I can see that not really sure if this is still going on. Let me see here. It looks like after it got knocked off, I think what's going to happen, guys, is we're going to have 2 different feeds for today's video. It's going to be the one that I started this morning and whatever this is going to be. So anyways, I don't know how it's going to seem once it's live, but it'll probably be split in 2. So one of the things I wanted to mention is that I'm considering possibly trading one of my Squier Contemporary guitars for an Ibanez. I came across a really nice Ibanez. It's the 420 model. And although I'm not a huge fan of Ibanez guitars, I figured the 2 contemporary Squiers that I have, the red one and the pearl one, is kind of redundant because they're very similar. So I figured maybe it might be worthwhile for me to swap one of those guitars for the Ibanez, because the Ibanez does have 24 frets, locking, tremolo and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm doing a good thing or a bad thing. I might regret it. But again, I don't like to keep too many guitars just for the sake of keeping guitars. If they're redundant, then I prefer to flip them. So I'm considering that. So you guys consider that a trade up, really? Well, the guitars that I did have, I did swap the pickups on the Squires, so they're actually a little bit better. But I think that it might be time for me to revisit an Ibanez guitar. You know, one thing is I don't have any Ibanez guitars right now. So I end up selling them most of the time, and I don't know if I'm going to end up doing the same thing once again, but we'll see. Yeah, the previous stream had more likes. So I don't know if this one's going to get the same amount of likes or not, but whatever. You guys know what happened, so you can follow along even though you have to jump from one to the other. William says, I just got my first Ibanez since the early 2000s, and you're loving it. See, this is the thing. I wanted to know whether or not I would maybe gravitate a little bit more to the newer models that they have now. The mechanisms that they have for the tremolo and stuff like that are great. I feel that those are like really nice. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You can hear I keep putting the volume down on this thing. I can still bend the strings pretty. That's what? 3 tones? Ah. Something like that. Okay, let's get back to the chit chat here. I'm getting distracted. Sorry about that, guys. Gear Junkie says my S4000 series was so smooth, and Jakal Vi wants to know, do you own a load box or attenuator? Which one would you get? Captor X or S? Okay, so a couple of questions here. I don't have I have an attenuator, and it's a cheap one. It's a Behringer, Bulgara, and this attenuator I paid about $100 used. They're not that expensive. They're definitely under $200. I use that with my Marshall Studio, and it works fantastically well. I was a little hesitant because it is a little less expensive than the attenuators that I haven't had in the past. In the past, I've used the mass attenuators, which are very good, have a good reputation also, more expensive, heavier, bigger. This one is relatively small, but I haven't had any issues with it. I did consider the Captor X and S at a certain point because I felt that it would be cool to use that for recording purposes. But honestly, I get better sound just miking up the cabinet. So I ended up doing that, and the attenuator with a mic'd cabinet works well for me. So that's what I end up using these days. I have a major upgrade says I have a couple of Jacksons that I might get rid of. I have a Jackson 2, eventually might disappear. This guitar here kind of scratches that Jackson itch, and I like the neck on this one better than the Jackson. The Jackson is very, very thin. So unless I mod that guitar and do something crazy with it, I might just end up selling it. William says he used to have an S420 a long time ago. I also had an Ibanez. If you go back on the only Ibanez I think I ever showcased on my channel was one, even before the channel was known as Addicted to Gear. I ended up, it was an SZ, I don't know if it was a 240, I don't remember. I think it might have been an SZ240. It's the one that sort of has the carved top, looks like looks a little bit like the way an PRS is carved, and the strings go through the body like a Telecaster. It had a fixed bridge, didn't have a trem system or a locking system on that one. That one was nice. I like that neck on that guitar. That was the only one that I'm actually showcasing on any of my videos. The very first Ibanez I had was a Roadstar 2. That was the first guitar I ever purchased. That was an electric guitar. But I did have a Gem Junior. That I think is also on one of my early videos. I had a Gem Junior. I also had a highlighter yellow RG. I think it was a 420 or something like that at one point. I had that one, and I had another Ibanez, and I forget which one it was, which didn't stick around very long. It was also an RG. Sorry, I don't remember the model of that one. But yeah, they typically didn't stay too long. It's like, I don't have any right now. So I'm thinking, let's maybe give it another chance. The new Squire Contemporary have roasted maple necks. Yeah, that's very true. Those new ones look really nice. The ones I have don't have a roasted maple neck. It's just a regular maple neck, but the neck is great. I like them a lot. Yeah, that's exactly it, Rico. It's the small black box that I have on my Marshall. You can't really see it. It's up there, but that's the attenuator. Gear Junkie says the RG series likely the Affinity Strat, a little upgrade and perfectly usable. The S series is like a made in Mexico Strat, few upgrades, and it's a pro level machine. Trying to catch up on the chit chat here. And guys, if I didn't say hi to you, sorry, I'm jumping around here. If there's any questions that I missed, just please ask it again. I'll definitely get it the second time around here. Donner makes a version of the GHS volume box for $25. And Gear Junkie says, can't believe GHS charges what they do for a volume pot and 2 jacks. Nuts. Use any volume pedal in the loop. Yeah, or make your own. I made my own, guys. If you're trying to, this is exactly what we're talking about here, right? It's two jacks, a volume pot, and a couple of wires and a box. You can make this for like $10. So if they're charging $25, I mean, even the Donner's $25 one, yeah, okay, it's cool. It's better than paying more than $25, but you can typically make your own for like $10 or $8. That's typically what I do. There's a lot of people selling them on eBay also, and it's exactly that. You can even get the schematics online. A little soldering and you're done. Does the Bugera does the same thing as the GHS black box sort of master volume control? Okay, so I'll explain it to you guys. So the Bugera is a full-fledged attenuator. So basically the way it works is that you would put the attenuator between your head and your cabinet. So you plug the output of your heads into the attenuator, then the attenuator into your cabinet, and then you can control the load. And the way it works is you can pretty much crank the amplifier up to 10 at that point and use the attenuator knob as almost like a master volume. So it's almost like you're now creating an amplifier that has a master volume, even though it doesn't have a master volume on it. And it definitely allows you more flexibility, especially if you have a very, very loud amplifier. And in the case of the Marshall, the Studio Plexi, even though it's only 20 watts, it's too loud for home use if you want to crank it enough to get the nice breakup. And that's generally where I live with that amplifier, is in that breakup area. So you definitely would want to use an attenuator with that. With a box like this, you're basically also kind of controlling the volume. I think you have a little bit less flexibility with this one, in my opinion. So it's definitely worthwhile getting an attenuator if you're playing with a loud amplifier. Larry says, Tony, I remember the first video I ever saw of you was a review of an Evertune LTD. An Evertune LTD? I never had one of those. I don't think that was me, man. Evertune. Pretty sure I never owned one. Unless my memory fails me, Larry, I think that could have been someone else. Jeff wants to know what gear will you be taking to your next jam? Yeah, so it's gonna possibly I think it's gonna be either this guitar, because I want to give it a whirl with loud volume, just see how it performs. Maybe this guitar, or perhaps my Kramer, which is here. I don't know if you were on the last show or not, but let me just switch guitars here for a second. Give me 1 second, guys. So Jeff, just to answer your question, it might be this one too, because this is one that I put together recently as well, this guy, and I haven't had the chance to play it. Now this one has a Floyd knockoff. I don't know if I could. Anyways, you get the idea. So I haven't tried this one in a live situation yet. I'm curious to see how it sounds. So maybe that one. We'll see. I tend to make my decision at the very last moment. I also probably will take the head. I'll probably take the Marshall Studio Plexi with me because, again, I want to crank that thing. Probably would also bring the attenuator because even in a live situation, I think it's going to be too loud and the attenuator will give me a bit more flexibility. As far as my pedals, I usually have my pedal board laid out. I don't really switch my pedals that often. So it's a grab and go pedal board that I have, which has the basics of what you would need in a live situation. So it probably would be one of those. William says, I used to have a Roadstar as well, single humbucker. I do five, even remember whatever happened to it. Probably traded it. Yeah, I regret trading. I did sell that guitar. I regret it. I should have kept that one because it had sentimental values for me. Sentimental value for me. Okay, yeah, that's the one, Richard. Bugera PS1 passive 100 watt attenuator. That is exactly it. Yeah. Paul says. Using Google OS, not Windows, it has a $200 unit. It's a $200 unit new. Sorry, don't know what you guys are talking about. I missed the thread on that. Did you guys see the Placebo Pedal they released at Summer NAMM? Chipson USA unveils a Placebo Pedal The ultimate and totally transparent boutique tone. I didn't see it. Let me write this down because this sounds interesting. So this is from Gibson, right? I'm writing it down. I'll check it out. So what is this supposed to do? Is this sort of like a transistor all-in-one pedal that's supposed to sound like a boutique amplifier? Is that it, Rico? How much does it go for? William, it took about a week to arrive, maybe a week and a half, around there. I think I'm gonna have to fix the volume pot on this thing. It seems to be a little bit sticky. It's a cheap volume pot. I haven't changed it yet. 1983 Cream Roadster 2 with the Floyd, the one that got away. Yep. They were good guitars even back then. They were a little bit closer to Strats though, compared to what they are today. The S series is the SA160QMTG. Yeah, that's the one. Quilted maple. Would you say the Ampero is the best one for the price right now? Yes and no. I don't know if that's a good answer. I like the Amperos. I think the Ampero unit is cool. The Ampero 1 as well as the full-fledged one are great. But I tend to use the MG300 more. I just find the sounds, some of the sounds, not all of them because they're not all great. Some of the sounds seem to be more, they sound like more amp-like to me. So I kind of either use the, like right now I'm playing through the MG300 from Nuex. The MG30 to me I think will be the same unit in terms of sounds, although they probably now have the proper outputs that they should have had from the get-go. And it's also a better constructed unit, I think, than the MG300. And they're really cheap. They're really inexpensive. So I think both of them are good, depending on what you prefer in terms of the tones that you get out of it, though. Are Donald pedals any good? And does anyone have a Donner Tully? Have been looking. Okay, yeah, so I can answer that question. So the Donner pedals are not bad. They're inexpensive pedals. The quality control on them is okay. They're surface mounted components. They're very micro surface mounted components. So if you have any issues, it's a throwaway pedal. You can't really repair them. Although most of the ones I've had are still kicking. There have been some people complaining about noise issues. Sometimes the sound is not the cleanest, depending on what type of pedal it is and where you put it in the chain. However, for somebody that's not really looking at spending too much money, it's a good alternative, you know, depending on which one you want to get. I've had a few. Some are better than others. Do I still have any Donner pedals at this point? I don't think so. I do have some Joyo pedals that are still kicking around here. I think I have about 2 or 3 of those. As far as the Donner pedals, not that many, but I do have a couple that I'm going to be doing a review on. This is the triple looper, also from Donner, which I feel is a decent looper pedal. It's simple. It does exactly what the more expensive pedals do, and it has a nice LCD screen on it, which I like. I like the simplicity of this pedal. And I also have another pedal that I'm going to be reviewing from Donner, which is a Reverb Pedal. And you guys will see for yourself what it sounds like and whether or not you think it's just as good as the higher end brands or the more expensive brands. But, you know, it's a good way to get into an inexpensive pedal board without spending too much money until you decide what you like and what you can actually afford in terms of more expensive pedals, I think. And as far as the Telecaster goes, I haven't tried the Telecaster per se, but I did get a Strat for my my son, which was a Donner Strat, and it was a solid instrument. It wasn't, you know, it's not going to replace a very expensive Telecaster, but you know, for a beginner guitar with a few tweaks, and if you adjust it properly, they're very workable guitars, you know. Gear Junkie says, I personally am researching if Captor X $250 one roll-off highs like a standard attenuator does, or silent recording. Anyone here have an experience with the Captor? Are you trying to avoid the high roll-off, or are you trying to get the high roll-off? The Donner thin line double humbucker Telecaster is a figantastic. For 160, it's a keeper. I've been trying to get one for review, the Telecaster. I think they're having issues selling through Amazon now for some reason. Shipping to Canada is iffy, but if I can get one, I will definitely review it for you guys. Rico says he played the Donner Telecaster that McKnight reviewed. It's okay, probably a starter student guitar. I'd get a used Squire for the same price. You know what, I always recommend people going for the Squire guitars. The classic vibes are really good value. They're still not that expensive if you go used. Brand new, I think they're about $475, but if you get them used, sometimes you can get them for cheaper than that. So we have an expert here on Donner pedals. Gear Junkie says he has about 17 of those pedals, so maybe he can answer and tell us which one he thinks are good value and which ones to stay away from. Fat Philosopher says, let's go through Tony's video library and find that LTD. I guarantee you guys, unless I'm like really getting Alzheimer's, I never had an LTD. So yeah, you can go through my videos and tell me if I'm getting Alzheimer's. Maybe I am. Rico says, I bet your strings are aligned correctly on that neck. Looks great. Well, I actually, on some of my guitars, I actually put the low E string slightly in a bit, because I don't like the low E string to be too close to the edge. So on this guitar, it could actually be a little bit further out, but I like to keep it a little bit further in. That's Major Upgrade says, I used to hate that headstock. That one is so well made, but I like the black gray one best. A lot of people like that one. I haven't taken that one for a spin yet. Let me grab that one and maybe I compare the sound. Since that one is also a pretty inexpensive ceramic pickup. This is ceramic too, by the way. The humbucker and this guy. Let me just pull that one and plug that one in a second. So we're kind of doing the mini round robin here today, and of course I dropped all my picks. So thankfully I have some standing by here. I don't know if this is in tune. Yeah, this definitely has a much lower action than the other one did. And I think actually it could stand with raising the action just a little. So this one, for those of you who haven't seen it before, is a custom build that I made. It's a tribute to EVH. I call it my EVH Tribute, with a custom paint job that I did. And this is actually a pickup off of one of my Tokai guitars. It was on my Black Beauty Tokai, and I changed the pickups on that guitar and decided to put it in here. You can see the slugs that have the screws are still gold. That's how you can tell it was originally on a gold pickup. Bridge, string saver saddles, basically it. I didn't put the cover on the back yet. I don't have anything to you can probably hear the string noise, which I don't like to. The reason why I like this guitar so much is because it's a very light body. This is a Polonia wood, which is so light. And I have another body like this one, and that's probably going to be the one that I'm going to use for my next build. And I'll probably put the Vega Trem in that one. And but I haven't decided what I'm going to do or how I'm going to paint it or. So there you go. Yeah, the hockey stick neck is, you either hate it or you love it. And originally I wasn't that crazy about it, but I figured after so many years I wanted to have one. So Gear Junkie says most of the budget pedal brands, they select a circuit out of the catalog like Moore, Donner, Sonic Cake, Valiton, Hotone, etc. Chevy, Oldsmobile, Cadillac, same as Donner, Sonic, Cake, Moore, rebadges. Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of them are rebadges. Absolutely. So if you want to try and get something in the ballpark of another pedal, sometimes they're very similar. Fat Philosopher says, I wonder how much Tony would charge for a custom build. I don't really know. I never actually considered making a build for anyone because I think that the reason why I haven't built a guitar for someone else is because I know what I like. I know how to go about putting a guitar together the way I like it to be. I don't know how well I would do with somebody else's build, you know. It's a lot more stress. Maybe one day I'll consider it. What do you guys think of Behringer pedals? Some of them are, I mean, the quality for Behringer pedals are not necessarily roadworthy. I have a TO800 from Behringer, which is a knockoff of a Tube Screamer. Very close. Sounds very close, just that the quality of the enclosure being plastic and whatnot, not the greatest. Thanks, Jacal. Thank you very much for, yeah, I like the Kramer. I like the Kramer a lot. It turned out really well. That is actually from a kit, so if you guys are interested in building your own, you can order a kit like that from the place I got it from. It's in my videos if you haven't already watched that video. The Behringer Vintage Time Machine Delay is a cop of the Electric Harmonix Music Man Deluxe. It's a bit dark, but a lot of fun. Yeah, and if you can't afford the original one, which are pretty expensive, it's a great way to get you in that ballpark for not too much money. Let's see here. What time is it, guys? How long have I been talking for here? Oh, 11:30. All right, we're gonna have to wrap it up soon. So Floyd rose with locking tuners instead of a nut. Good idea or bad? Floyd rose with locking tuners instead of a nut. Locking tuners. Okay, I see what you mean. So you're saying avoid the nut and just go locking tuners. Locking tuners are not going to keep your guitar in tune. A lot of people have the misconception that locking tuners work the same way a locking nut works. It doesn't. Locking tuners is just a way of locking the string in place. It's often better to use locking tuners if you want to make your string changes quicker. I'm not a huge fan of locking tuners. I like the locking tuners because they add extra mass to the headstock. But I'm not a big fan of locking tuners because if you break a string with a locking tuner, because you just have the edge of your string that's holding, it's easier for that to slip out. Whereas if you wrap the string around your neck, around the posts, it tends to me, like I never have issues with strings breaking from here or, popping out from here when it goes around the post. With locking tuners, they can sometimes do that. So that's one of the reasons to maybe not get locking tuners, but I like the mass that they give on the headstock. Rico says, Tony, it's a joke. Pedal $99 from Chipson. I thought it was funny. They are actually selling it. Guess it's a gift for the guitarist who has it all. Maybe. It could very well be. They're trying to get into a lot of things now that they purchased Mesa Boogie. Who knows what they're going to come out with next, right? Major Upgrade says, I have a Line 6 Pod Go now. I can't bring myself to even really look at pedals anymore. Yeah, that's a great little unit. If you're playing at home, it's very practical. And I flip-flop between pedals and multi-effects very often. Sometimes I'm just, tempted away from pedals, but I tend to go back to pedals. And I'm back with pedals now, even though I use multi-effects units to do recordings and stuff like that. Paul says, love it. 4 of my guitars are retro but heavily modded, like an Airline H88 Stratotone double. It has a Duncan pickups, but it has vintage toaster pickup covers, so it looks period correct. It's always great to be able to mod some of the guitars and give them a little bit more mojo, I think. I was looking at the TM300 earlier. Looks pretty badass. Excuse me. The Flamma FX100 has good patches for metal. Did you find? The Flamma stuff is... Some of it's good, some of it's hit and miss. I think you have to live with the Flamma pedals for a couple of days or weeks before you can really make up your mind whether or not they're for you. One of the things that I found with Flamma pedals is they're a lot more finicky with the power supply. If you don't plug in the proper power supply, if you have a bunch of Flamma pedals on your board, they tend to be noisy. And a lot of people that have said that the Flamma stuff is noisy is because they're not using the right power to use the pedals. So check that out if you're experiencing noise with the Flamma stuff. All right. So just going down here. Multi-effect or interface plus neural and IRs. Multi-effects, that's a great question. It depends what you're trying to do. I would say the multi-effects units are great because they're flexible. You can actually take them. Some of them you can take with you. You can actually use them as a pedal board and just bypass the cabinets. For recording, they're great because you have the IRs, so you can emulate the cabinets and speakers. there's a lot of great reasons why you can use you should be using multi effects if you're doing recording. Obviously, the cost, being able to have so many different sounds at your fingertips for relatively little money is a great plus. I like both, honestly. I like the freedom of having as many sounds at my disposal as I can. Excuse me. So Gear Junkie says Donner got in trouble with their Facebook page reimbursing 5-star reviews. Was wondering when that would get shut down. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of sellers are doing that, and it's a shame because even people that are trying to buy stuff off Amazon nowadays, you don't know if the reviews are even real or not, because a lot of people say they're fantastic because they're getting them for free. You got to take it with a big grain of salt, but I think if people crack down on that, it's a good thing, in my opinion. I mean, if something's not good and you say it's, not good, be honest. You're not helping anyone by lying, right? Fat Philosopher says it's about time we get Tony an LTD. Yeah, I guess I got to try one because you guys are seeing me playing LTDs when I'm not even playing one. Paul says, Tony, the Charvel sounds killer. Thank you, buddy. All right, guys, there's a lot of great comments here today. Wow, sounds so good. Nothing better than counterfeit. Fat Philosopher says that Charvel EVH is so sick. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, man. And relax, Tony. It's only 8:30. I think we're going to be looking at a new build very, very soon. I'm working on putting something together. I just, again, haven't decided exactly how to go about it. There's so many things that are popping up in my brain, and some projects that I've already started in terms of guitars that I don't know which one I should finish first. John says Donner kept copying Shane's review videos and putting them out on Donner website without credit or permission. Oh, that sucks. That's not good. How many streams are we doing today? Yeah, I think there's at least 2. Paul says Tony EVH are releasing a new 5150 since James Brown works for them. The prototype sounds like the Amp Tweaker tight metal pedal. I don't know if this is legit. I mean, are they paying Eddie royalties now that he's passed away, or are they just trying to pull a fast one and milk the 5150 brand while he's while they can't get sued? I'm not really sure. One of the things that I also picked up recently, guys, is this thing here. This is a WD bridge that's going to end up going on my Telecaster. I think I'm going to be putting this on the Butterscotch one, or I might be switching out one of my bridges from the other Telecasters for this one. This is a high mass bridge. Really thick plate. I don't know if you can see this, but like, look how thick this thing is. Really well made, solid, and it has the 6 independent saddles, which I tend to like for the tuning and stability with intonation. So I haven't decided which one I'm going to be putting that one on, but that's also going to be going on another build soon. So you probably will be seeing some other interesting guitars pop up on the channel as well. Take it easy, Gear Junkie. Nice to see you, my friend. Take it easy. Have a good weekend. So if there's no other questions, if you guys have any last questions, ask them now, because I'm going to be wrapping it up. It's 11:37. Crazy already. So Paul says Flamma offer their own power supply, basically the original Boss Guts Dead Quiet. Yeah, I use mine with a like a power block, and because there's different milliamps that you can select, I've noticed that if I select one that is a little bit higher, you're gonna get noise. Vox Guitar says I have the TM300. It sounds good but noisy on higher gain. Vacation was good, buddy. Thanks for asking, Rico. It was good. It was expensive, as they always are, but I think everybody was happy with it. So we had some fun. It was a short little vacation, but you know, just again, we're stuck. We can't really go anywhere, and you still have to be careful with all this COVID stuff in different parts of the world. So, but we needed a little vacation. Tony, have you tried a slick guitar yet from Guitar Fetish? They look interesting. I have not. I haven't tried one. I'm not too convinced about. I was eyeing the Telecaster that they have there, but it has a Les Paul style bridge on it, which I'm not convinced about. So I didn't really feel like I wanted to buy one of those. But I am keeping my eyes on them, seeing what they have, what they come up with. If there's something cool that pops up eventually, I might try one. Can you pick up that new Zooey for a minute? How would you compare it to the green Harley Benton you had? I think that would be a fun shootout. Yeah, well, I can give you my opinion on it. Sure, I can pick it up again. Give me 1 second. And again, William, it took about a week and a half to arrive. I think that's something that most people are concerned about because sometimes stuff coming from China can take a while. All right, so I can answer your question. It would make a good shootout. Maybe I will do that. Sorry, guys, the volume was up. All right, so my opinion between this and the Fusion 2. The Fusion 2 definitely has things that this guitar doesn't have, namely the stainless steel frets. These frets are not stainless, they're regular frets. This guitar doesn't have locking tuners. The Fusion 2 does have locking tuners. The bridge on the Fusion 2 is a Wilkinson type bridge, which I think is a good bridge. It doesn't have the fancy input jack. The other one doesn't. And the other one has split coils, as well as out of phase. Besides that, in my opinion, the features on the Fusion are better. The Fusion, I think, is a little heavier than this one, but I love the neck profile on this one much better. So I have actually been playing this more than the Fusion, believe it or not. And they're great guitars. They're both good guitars. I actually also changed... did I change the pickup on the Fusion? Yes, I did. I changed the pickup on the Fusion, and I didn't change the pickups on this. So I think this guitar is a little bit closer to what I like. And this is less expensive. So that's food for thought. Maybe you guys can mull that over if you're considering doing purchasing one of these. Put the Vega on the Telecaster. That would be a cool thing, except the Telecaster is not routed, so I wouldn't be able to do that. Plecked my Guitar Safari Memphis Strat, added new Hipshot gold saddles, bone nut, and finishing with gold Hipshot tuners. So Seth, we definitely want to see a picture of this guitar when it's finished. So send it to me and we'll post it up on one of the upcoming chats. All right, we'll show everybody the handiwork and the great plecking. All right. Hey, thanks for the super chat. Thanks, Fat Philosopher. I appreciate that, my friend. It's always great when you see somebody supporting the channel, and every penny of the super chats go into just getting the lighting and memory cards and whatever upgrades I need to make to my computer systems and stuff to keep the stuff going. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Paul says, Tony, my pedals arrived, the Retrosonic Flanger, award-winning EH Flanger, the Andy Summers and Combo Audio Electronics Plexi breed to die for, authentic, not a processed beeped sound, but the real deal. So, Paul, where do you get these from? I mean, I did a little search on some of them when you mentioned them last week, and I wasn't able to find them. So I'm just wondering where you're getting them from, where we can possibly find them. If you want to share with us, that would be appreciated. Marcus says, I want to thank you for your reviews. Just got a Harley Benton Amarok metal guitar to play with. I'm curious about it. Is that something you would review? I would review anything. I mean, I love my guitars. I'd love to be able to have as many guitars flow through here so I know what they're like and I can share that with you. I haven't played the Amarok yet. I know a lot of people are interested in that one. It's more of a metal guitar. I'm not that big on metal. I mean, I am holding a reverse headstock guitar, and you can definitely use this one for metal as well. But eventually, yeah, maybe I will take an opportunity to get one of those in and try it out for you guys. Yes, I did go to Niagara Falls Vox Guitars. Why didn't you stop in? I think it was a short time, but maybe next time we can definitely hook up. What do you think? We can grab a cold one and talk some gear. Yeah, that's like a super mini review mic. Definitely. Upgraded my Earth standard with hip shot locking, tuners and fender, Yosemite pickups and is it more to your liking? Is it worthwhile? Was the money well spent? Wayne says, Rico, I own a double cut with P90's brass hardware. It was $200 used and yellow, so I stripped it and reshaped the ugly headstock. And you're in business. Don't be afraid to mod your guitars, guys. Rondo Music makes Telecasters that have a Strat type teens. Hipster would work on those. Hint, hint. Yeah, maybe I will have to get a modified Telecaster for that. That could be an interesting thing. Enough with the ideas. I gotta close my ears. You guys are gonna sidetrack me into another build. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to say goodbye for today because otherwise I'm gonna be blackballed. It's almost an hour over what I promised I would do today. Thank you for sticking with me even with the issues, with the technical problems. If you have, if you get on the other stream and you want to rewatch that one, you can jump on this one if they're two separate ones. Unfortunately, it's a little glitchy, but I appreciate you guys jumping back on with me today. And yeah, you guys always make it a wonderful Sunday. I'm super happy to be spending my Sundays with you guys, and we'll keep on doing that. So basically, we're going to be doing the next one next Sunday, so please tune in for that. If I happen to do a surprise one along the way this week, because I still am on vacation, I might actually do another live chat maybe in the middle of the week or something like that on a weird weekday at an odd time just to catch some new viewers. I'm from which part of Canada? I'm from Quebec. For those of you that are wondering. Fat Philosopher, didn't I promise you 3 hours? Did I promise 3 hours in a row or spread out? I don't really remember. I gotta go look back on the tapes and see what I said. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If I do get the Ibanez guitar and that trade goes through, I'll be showing you and talking about that as well. And if you have any suggestions or any like videos that I've done in the past that you feel might be worthwhile doing an update to, give me your comments. I'm open to suggestions like the suggestion we had today to compare this one with the Fusion from Harley Benton. I think that's a great idea. I'll definitely try and make a video review and maybe a shootout between the two. I think that would be interesting for a lot of people. And there's obviously a lot more gear coming in, more guitars that I'll be reviewing, so please stay tuned to the channel. And that's it, guys. Stay healthy, keep rocking, and see you again next week for the live chat. All right? Take it easy, boys.